Make the strings louder.
What's up, guys? Today's video is going to be an in-between video. I'm almost ready to paint this stuff, but it's a little bit too cold today, and I got some things I need to do to this, so we're gonna get started on that. Last night, basically got the whole car, the bumper, side skirt, and need to finish sanding this side skirt because, as you can see right there, we got all the random crap in there. And if I don't take these out, make like a weird little C in there. I just don't think there's any way I could actually get this thing painted tonight. But the other thing is, so today's very, like, it's kind of cold right now. It's like 40-some degrees outside, and it's basically been super windy all day. It actually kind of died down, but it's really cold outside. So that's another issue, because I will be having the door kind of open and letting it circulate so that there's not so much overspray building up in the shop. And just with it being so cold, I just don't want to do that. Today I ran down here. I had to do a bunch of stuff with taxes. As you guys know, tax day, get all that stuff submitted. So I got everything good with my 2017 taxes. So actually, like, the first year I've actually filed on time. But anyhow, you'll see right here, this is the JK40C. This is a Nissan 370Z transmission that I purchased. I don't know, it's been a couple months. Basically popped up on one of the local like drift Facebook pages. But anyhow, it had the upgraded coin-centric slave cylinder, basically the Z-Speed one, which is exactly what I have in my drift car. So as you guys know from the 370Z videos, going down there with Adam and you know, working on the Z for the Lone Star Drift, like, Texas street legal car that Aaron is letting me and Adam basically drive and compete in this year. So basically the stock, I think I have it actually right here. Yep, look at that, my Z parts. So the internal slaves on those guys are plastic. So this is out of the car that I parted out, and the transmission that's in here. So I have an upgraded, it's a Z-Speed Performance slave cylinder, and basically upgrades it to an aluminum housing with like a little adapter with like a speed bleeder and a you know, braided line. And anyhow, it was going to be too late for him to actually order the kit, because at the last event they had an issue with the clutch because it was a stock clutch. So he got a spec clutch going in it, and he's like, I need it by tomorrow. So today's Tuesday, and basically I just overnighted it to him, so he should have it before noon tomorrow. So he'll be able to get the clutch in it, and it'll be ready for this weekend. So leading into that, I literally have not touched my drift car since the last, basically since I went to Sonoma Drift. So you can still see I have my sleeping bag in here, and my my Sparko. You know, literally I've driven this thing down the street a couple times since then, and it had that oil leak, and so it's pretty much been parked in here. I haven't even washed it since then. So yeah, that's another thing. I need to basically prep this thing. It does have the whole oil leak thing in the front end. And I did get my order in from Drift Motion, so I have basically timing belt, vvti gear, rebuild kit, you know, the cam seals, front main seal, all that crap. So I guess without further ado, I need to get started on that. So the goal is get this kind of finished up most of the way tonight. Come here tomorrow, finish sanding that side skirt, and then paint the car. So not actually going to get the Supra, I guess, painted in this video, but we will maintain the drift car. This is going to kind of stress me out working around all the nice, pretty Supra panels and stuff. But need to clean up that thing back over there, get the drift car kind of pushed right here so I could actually start tearing it apart. Alright, so if you guys were ever wondering if my catch can actually worked, this little Moroso thing, this is basically what came out of it. So you can see the bottom is water. Or, yeah, I mean, that just has to be water. So I basically just kind of pulled the little drain thing, and this has just been sitting there for like 2 weeks, just letting it kind of finish draining, because I opened it one day and I was like, oh, nothing's going to be in here, and it was just like, and just like shot everywhere out of the bottom. There's like a little petcock on there. So anyhow, just got the hood off, pull this crap out, get the radiator, and I really wish I could use the lift, but it's occupied right now. So I decided it would be a better idea to just move this on the lift, move that crap over there. It'll just be easier.
So one of the things you got to be really, I guess when you're doing the timing belt in your car, or doing all these seals and stuff, you got to make sure you're able to get a decent size impact to be able to try to break loose these things. Basically, Dave's JZ, that JZ that's going in the Supra, the JZ that was actually that we put in the giveaway car, we had is insane amounts of effort that went into getting these stupid crank pulley bolts off. This one I think has been done before, and it's really loose. So it basically popped loose pretty easy, and so it wasn't too big of a deal. I mean, the Milwaukee's a beast, but I mean, we tried that and everything else on those things. We ended up having to have just these giant breaker bars to get them broken loose on those. So definitely keep that in mind if you want to just throw something in and kind of chance it as far as maintenance-wise, because you might have a hell of a time. It seems like it's easier to kind of do it sometimes out of the car. I guess it depends on how much room. I have almost a decent amount of room in here. So I went ahead and I buzzed it off, but then I forgot to put it to the timing mark. So basically we have the white mark right here at the 0 on the front, and then you'll have this timing mark right here that lines up with that, and then this timing mark right here that lines up with that. And then normally these crank pulleys pretty much just kind of wiggle off the front, kind of just wiggling back and forth. I mean, decent enough for being a crank pulley. And another thing is to check for kind of the wear on there, see if they have any major dry cracks. That one kind of has a decent one, but I don't have anything to replace it with, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about it. And then try to keep your timing stuff kind of, make sure not to lose this, because if you lose this, then your timing belt will come off. Like, it'll just basically walk forward because it doesn't have anything keeping it on there. Let's see what I'm doing. This is gonna fall right into the bucket of coolant. I know it is. I should move that out of the way. There we go. Timing is loose. These JZs really aren't that bad to time. I mean, as long as you look at the marks and you kind of double check and triple check everything before, and as long as you're okay with just like busting the tensioner loose, moving it a tooth and then putting it back and being like, okay, well that looks a hell of a lot better than it did, and because they do kind of get to a weird spot where they almost look good, but they're like a tooth off sometimes. You do need to do the oh big huge thing. Do not make this mistake, because this is what happened on the giveaway car, and when we put it back together it wouldn't start. So if you look down here on this this gear, there's this little brass looking, I don't know, it's weird. It's super thin, and you'll pull this off and you'll break off a tooth and you won't even know it, and then you'll go to put your JZ in and it won't start. So that's exactly what happened with the giveaway car. We got it all back together and it just wasn't working for us, just was not starting. We were like, didn't know if like it was wiring or what it was. But yeah, when Dave did the timing belt on it, he'd never done one of these before. I know you want to. Come on. Got it off. Also, one noteworthy thing is make sure to, before you try prying off the valve covers, to go ahead and remove these little rubber washer things right here, because you can see that they're kind of turned into, they're just super hard. You can see it's like almost cracked, but they almost like mate themselves to the valve cover like just like adhesive or something. I don't know. And so if you try to pry it up, you'll actually break the valve cover ear off, because that just won't let it come up. So make sure you pull off those off of the studs. Basically the studs are the inner ones right there. The outside ones don't matter because they basically just come off right like that. Like I said, I have new valve cover gaskets, so I definitely wouldn't recommend doing this job without kind of doing all the little maintenance things as well. Alright, so I got the old oil seals out of here, and honestly they don't look bad and they don't look like they were leaking. And I'm talking about the cam seals that go around there. You can see the vvti gear has basically the ports in here so that it could transfer the oil from inside there into the cam, so that it could actually advance in I think it just advances. I don't think it retards it, but maybe it does. But anyhow, so this one's a little bit different. It's the same exact seal on each side, but the process of actually removing the gear is a little bit more complicated, just because you have basically this gear right here that just kind of, it like goes like this as it like goes together and kind of locks together. But there's, I mean, I think you could pretty much only put it together one way. Alright guys, so it's time to basically put this guy in here. And a lot of times you'll have to kind of, I robbed this gear out of the 1J over there, so, and I'll just replace it with the one out of the Supra or something. So a lot of times this O-ring is actually a little bit smaller than it should be. So what you have to do is just kind of go around it, kind of stretch it out a little bit until it's kind of the right length, or the right to where it sits just perfectly flush in there. And then you have a couple, basically you have a couple seconds. These lines right here, kind of line those up with the gear, and then basically put it on just like that, and make sure you got the right holes. Back to well, basically you got to install the cam seals right here, the front main seal, and then put it all back together, and the valve cover gaskets.
It's one of the things that's kind of a major pain when you're trying to pull out like the front main seal, like right here. You see, it's kind of hard to get in there. So basically, what I did is took this little pick, and I basically just poked a hole right there. And then what I did is I took this like drywall screw or deck screw, whatever you want to call it, and basically just kind of drove it in, and you can see it just pulled it out. So there's kind of a lip. I mean, as long as I guess you do it on the right spot, you'll probably be alright. But obviously you don't want to get into those teeth down there, because there's teeth. But as long as you kind of stick close to the side, you can see what I did right there. Yep. That's kind of a cool picture. I kind of like how this thing focuses and does things like that. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, now it's time to tap in the front main seal, and then we could install this guy. Also replacing the water pump. Has metal blades in it. Comes with a new gasket, and you can see the OEM Toyota one right here has plastic blades and an old gasket. You can see right here, basically I'm just replacing the front half. So since I don't know, it's just cheaper to replace the front half. Hi guys, so got it all timed. Good
Put the Blue Gates racing timing belt on it. New water pump. All that stuff. All new seals. And it's in time. So things, like I said, these things really aren't that bad in time. You just gotta kind of be willing to, you know, pull it off and redo it once you basically mess it up until you get it, until you know it's perfect. So now I basically just need to clean off this little surface for the valve covers, and then go ahead and slip the new valve cover gaskets in it. Put on the front covers and stuff, and essentially this whole front situation, maintenance situation is done. Alright guys, this is pretty much where I'm leaving it tonight. Got basically all the front covers and everything back on it. Valve covers, all that crap, and so tomorrow I would like to go to O'Reilly's, pick up a fresh set of plugs for it, because I'm already this far in. There's one little coolant plug thing I want to replace under the intake manifold, and then obviously hook up all the intercooler stuff. And well, intercooler's already actually hooked up, the radiator stuff. I actually thought about kind of deleting the blow-off valve because it does some weird things sometimes. Like my part throttle, it's kind of like halfway open, halfway closed, and since it is a mass airflow sensor car, it does do some funny things. Like I said, I really did want to get basically the Supra painted in this video, and that was basically the goal. But you know, it just turns out that it was just way too damn windy, and then pretty much right now outside it's just way too cold. So that's going to be pretty much the priority tomorrow. I'll come here, mess with this thing a little bit during the day, and then kind of towards the afternoon go ahead and get that thing sprayed. So apologize that this wasn't that, but this is definitely something that I need to get taken care of before the weekend. I also need to work on my truck and the trailer a little bit, do a little bit of maintenance stuff to those U-joints in my truck, and you know, kind of go over the axles and you know, basically like restock the trailer and get it all kind of ready to go. As well as, I mean, if you guys have ever prepped for like an out-of-state drift event, it's like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm missing everything, and I bring too much stuff, and I mean, probably not enough stuff actually if I end up needing this stuff. But yeah, I guess we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be messing with this stuff, or the Supra, I guess, and I guess we're going to call this part 1 of kind of Lone Star Drift, or you know, drift car revamp. So I mean, I'm pretty sure this thing's ready for like another year or 2 of abuse. I mean, maybe even more than that, because I mean, really the only issue that I've really had with this is the throttle body did some weird stuff initially when I first put it in here, and I just didn't have something wired correctly. Other than that, it had basically the vvti gear started leaking, and that was this issue. I popped a hole in the radiator when I basically got in a wreck in it, in the Vegas drift, when the power steering belt kept popping off, or the serpentine belt kept popping off, because I didn't have like a proper bracket. I made a bracket and it wasn't good enough. And then so basically kept having issues with it, so I went ahead and I just installed the AC compressor and basically just gutted the back side of it. And I've had no issues with the AC or with the serpentine belt popping off since then. So there's also a little leak around the oil cooler. So I'll go ahead, change the oil, fresh oil filter, you know, all that stuff, and basically make sure that this thing's 100%. But you guys will probably see that. Appreciate you guys kind of watching this. Sorry, like I said, apologize it wasn't that, but at least we're getting something done with this. Hopefully you guys kind of learned a little bit, and definitely be delicate with these valve cover bolts, because if you've ever seen the prices of these damn valve covers, you know why. Have a good one.